Hey MOF Legends, it's Jay Lee here, and I've been asked by a few MOF members to go through and show you an update of how to actually set up and use Webinarkit as an alternative to EverWebinar for your paid traffic. Now, if you haven't seen Webinarkit before, it's essentially very much like the same type of platform what EverWebinar actually is, with the same features but at a fraction of the price. Now, at the moment, the founders are actually doing a deal, a one-time deal for a one-time price where you can actually get the front end, which is all you really need really for Webinarkit to use it in the same way for paid ads traffic for $67. And then if you like to go for the pro version, which is $77 as well, that gives you some extra customization of your registration page and your thank you page, plus some other extra features that are really useful. Now with EverWebinar, that you actually pay for, so this is EverWebinar here, and this is $500 a year that you actually pay, and it's a very good platform. So in my first recommendation with it, when you're following the course, always go for EverWebinar if you can afford it first, because it is a really good piece of software. However, if you can't afford the $500 per year and you're looking for an alternative, that's where Webinarkit actually comes in. Now here is the actual webinar that I actually set up quite a while ago using EverWebinar, and I've had some success with this with paid traffic as well, which helped me actually regain my Ministry of Freedom fee within about 16 weeks actually, to actually recoup from it, from various different sales through paid traffic, through launch jacking, etc. So and organic traffic as well. So if I was just to go through and edit this, and this is what EverWebinar looks like, where you actually go through each of these different steps to actually then configure your webinar platform so that people can actually then watch the video training that Jono actually gives. And you just go through and you just edit these following the actual training that goes into it. I haven't actually updated this for a little while because I've just been updating Webinarkit first, and then I'm going to come back and then actually update this one as well. I still use EverWebinar, but not as much as where I use for Webinarkit now, so as well. So these have all the same features as Webinarkit actually has, as what EverWebinar has as well. So you do it in the same way. So there's a few things that you'll actually need first before you actually set this up. So you need to make sure that you're in the week 9 paid traffic, and you're on the advanced advanced EverWebinar setup. I think that's the one, isn't it? So just check to see. That's yes, the webinar and the emails, etc. So that's the one that you want to be on to actually get here with this information here. So this will give you the latest video link. It'll give you the video duration that you'll need, the link drop of when you actually do your promotion, the presenter images that you actually need, the email swipes that you actually need, which have been recently updated, which is really good, and also the testimonial page, which passes you over to here for the testimonial page as well. You'll need that for your emails that you actually have. You also need to have your link for the MOF to be able to do the affiliate link for actually promoting it as well, which gives you the default, the replay page, and the sales page, which is recommended because you'll need those as well. So that's the default, and that's the sales page. And then the replay page goes to Jono's replay area that he's got on his website as well. You'll also need your autoresponder for actually setting up the emails that you're actually doing as well. So I use GetResponse. You need to create a new list. My one is called JLS, Jamie Leanne Saunders. So I use JLS a lot, MOF Webinar. And then here you'll be able to actually then create your autoresponder emails coming through here as well. So you can use your autoresponder for fully doing all the emails that you actually get within this document here that Jono provides through you through the link that's here, the email swipes. Or you can actually only do it from the closing emails. So a lot of these other ones that you have above it, you can actually put into Webinarkit And that's a newer feature to give you the complete customization, and they're changing Webinarkit all the time to make it better and better, so it will only get better as well, and you'll be able to have soon, I guess, you'll be able to have all these emails that you actually have in there or already integrated in, but in the meantime they kind of give you a 50-50 split within it. So there's a few things that EverWebinar does better than what Webinarkit, and emails is particularly one of them, particularly when you go to the notifications here and then you do the reminder notifications here where they actually come in and you actually place them in here, so integrated nicely in here. Which is what I like, whereas Webinarkit is a little bit different when you actually use it for the emails that are actually coming through from here as well. So once you've actually got all those, and then if I go over here and then just show you, so you'll need MOF image if you can get it. You can use the 2.0 one as well. I just have the old one that we used to use. That's my email download of the email document. And then I actually have this opt-in page background, which kind of like looks like this. I'll just bring it up on my other screen now, just pass her over here. So it kind of like looks like that. I think I actually got this background image from the ClickFunnels opt-in page that Jono originally actually had for us. It's a little bit slow here. Here we are. That's where it looks like with the actual background image. And then of course you need an image for Jono as well, which he gives you a link for just in here as well. So once you've actually got all those bits and pieces, you're kind of like ready to go. So what you do is you just click on new webinar. I'm just going to click on this one here for edit webinar because it does the same thing. To actually then kick it off and go. And the first thing that you actually have for the front end is you won't be able to use the upload video option. You only get that within Pro, so that's one good reason for doing it with Pro. What the upload video means is you can upload a video of your own and then it will be hosted actually on the Webinarkit platform itself, and then that way then you don't have to provide a link. But with the front end you just need the link here, so you just grab the link that's here and then you just plonk it in here and then you click save and then you're good to go for the video. Simple as that, nice and easy. Then you come down to the actual details. So first thing you want to do is actually make the webinar active. Then you can give it a name. I give it generate 10k in 22 days, and then I gave it a title within it which generates 10k per month within 22 days. So that's what people actually then see within their actual opt-in page and within the webinar itself. Then I added a subtitle, plus we'll hand you the exact blueprint to replicate it as well, because that's kind of like promoted within this actual this training video that Jono does as well. And then I just put a description, see how Jono generates 10k every month using this simple rinse and repeat system. So it's simple as that. You don't have to put all that information in there. You just need to really just give it a name and a title, and then you're good to go. Now the webinar duration is done in minutes here, whereas in EverWebinar it's done in hours, minutes and seconds, hence why Jono gives it here hours, minutes and seconds. So you need to kind of like tally this up. So that would be 120, 158 and 48 seconds. So if you round it off to 159 minutes, then you just put in 159 minutes. Now for some reason it doesn't seem to remember me putting in 159 minutes in there, but it still knows that. For some reason it just doesn't keep it displayed here, so I don't know why. That's maybe something that Webinarkit can actually resolve as well. But you just put it in there. So everything that in Webinarkit for the webinars themselves are in minutes rather than split up. I'm not sure in the future whether or not they will split it up, but at the moment it works. And then this is where you actually browse for the brand image, and then you add in the image as well. So recommended image dimensions are 20 pixels height and 125 pixels width. PNGs are recommended. So this image here actually you can get off the sales page or other places as well. Fits that recommended image size, so it's fine. So that works as well. Then we come to add the presenters, which is the same way as what you do is in EverWebinar. So you just click on add a presenter, you give it a name, you can give it a biography, you can give the email address. Usually for when it's a Jono as a presenter, you just provide your own email address rather than Jono's, because otherwise Jono will actually get a lot of emails coming through which he doesn't really want. And then you can add the presenter photo, where you add Jono's photo in there as well, and then you click on Add Presenter, and then it'll add it in here like this. I also add myself as a presenter because, you know, it's people are actually doing the advertising through me, and they're coming through me with my one here, so I want people to understand that I'm associated with this through the advertising. So that's where the webinar presenter comes in here as well. Now, this is a lot more simpler in Webinarkit, which does a little bit better than what Webinar does. And this is the webinar schedule bit. Again, this is all front end side of things, so you get it within the $67, so that this is not anything extra that you need from the Pro version. So you get the just-in-time scheduled meeting is enabled, and what that does is every 15 minutes, one of your prospective buyers or looking into the training will be able to join into a particular training session that's happening there for the just-in-time. The other one that Jono goes through is about how to actually set up the 11 a.m. and the 7 p.m. every day training schedules that you actually have as well. And to do that, you just select it from these options here from the drop downs. So you can actually do it on a particular day, every day. You can select a particular time for it, and then you can actually select specific days if you like. You've got AM and PM when you just select them from there, and then you've got all the time zones that you can actually add in here as well. So you just go through for those. I'm in the UK, so therefore I have it in my Europe local time, London time, 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. And then you just add the date, and it puts them in here. But you can also notice here that all webinar dates and times will be displayed in the viewer's local time zone itself. So it doesn't matter which time zone you actually pick. When they actually pick one of these, it will then do it recommended for their own time zones as well. So you can also do it within the US time zones if you like to, and then set it up that way. But it doesn't really make much of a difference really for this, for people to actually join in to do it. So you do the same way as you do in Webinar when you're actually setting up the schedules here. Oh yes, so you click on cancel, and then you go to schedules, and then you go here. So this is for the same thing here, where you do it every day, etc. 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Here for and then the user's own time zone for auto detection. Here's a just-in-time option. And then the next available session, you can actually set this up a little bit better for every 15 minutes in this way, but Webinarkit always does it straight away for every 15 minutes for the just-in-time option that you actually have. And then you can actually then leave these as defaults really within Webinar. So it's a lot more simpler here. That you actually have it on Webinarkit itself. Then click on save, and then you go on to next. Now this is fairly new that they've just done in the last couple of weeks or so actually, where they've changed it a little bit, hence why it's in beta stage. But a lot of your original setups, if you used Webinarkit before, hasn't changed within here. So what we can actually do, this is the page for the registration and the thank you page. So if you open up the registration page editor, what they've now done is that they've actually allowed you to preview your setup of your registration page directly in here, whereas before you used to have this all across here as a full screen mode, and then you had a preview button just up here, so you do your changes and then you preview it. So this makes a lot more sense for you to actually do it as well. So when you're actually using the front end standard, you only get the standard option like this, but with the Pro version you get to then customize it, so you can make it look like this, right hand side cover, left hand side cover. You can actually do it a right hand side image, or you can do it as a left hand side image. So that gives you a little bit more options for how you want the layout to be. But in just the front end, which is all you need, then this is the standard one you actually get. And I actually use the standard one as well, so this is quite good as well. I've got the pop-ups coming up saying who's just registered for the webinar, and that helps promote people to actually then go and put their times and etc. in there. So as you can see, when you use the drop down, this is the just in time that's happening in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then you've got the next available in the morning 11 a.m. and then the 7 p.m. one, which is later on today as well for the UK time, because it's only around about 10:30 at the moment in the UK. Then I just have the fields that is going for first name and the email, and then register now and the webinar presenter, who's Jono, so you know who's actually presenting this particular training that's going on as well. And I also have the logo and the background in here. So the background color that you have actually over here is really if you don't use the background here, so you can actually change it, and you can actually change it to black. So if you're not using a background image, now the background image I showed you earlier, which is this here, I actually have on Image Shack, so my URL for that goes there and it finds it here. And then my text color is white, so that's you can then change the different colors. You just click on it and then you can select the colors that you want for the colors there. And the registration button background color, which I've done as red because John always recommends red, seems to work better, so that's where I've used. And then the text color is white as well, which it says register now. You can customize the button text, and this is taking it from the previous look and feel of my registration page. So at the moment it looks like there's nothing in there, but it does have register now. And then if you wanted to, you can also add a video if you've recorded one for registering, which sometimes helps. We don't use one of those, so we don't need to do anything. This is new in the beta version, where you never used to be able to add text before. Now you can. So you've got the upper content, which is just above, so you can actually put content in there like that, and then as you can see it comes up at the top, and then the lower content is below here, which you can then also put your information there. So below, as you can see, it comes up down there. I don't use it, I just use the standard page. And then you've got footer content as well, so you can put disclaimers in there for earnings, etc., which you actually see as a footer as well, which is really, really useful. And that's how you do your registration page. So the thank you page is very much like the same thing. So the thank you page, you can either use your custom one, which you can get all the thank you page files from Jono for and actually put in, and just do it to the URL. So if you host your own thank you page, then you just put the URL link to your own thank you page. Now if you want to, you can do what I've done, which is actually include it completely inside Webinarkit, which works just as well, as you can see. So this is also new, where you can actually add your own content in there for the thank you content. So this success registration complete, the workshop will begin in a few minutes, and then I just added this other one here because I still have the old original video that goes on as well, just here. And then that would come up with the thank you page coming through that you'd actually put in here. Then if you use a video, which was where I've got, then you put the video URL in there. That's the button text for the button itself. So when you click on this, this will take you to the live room link for your webinar itself, and this is where you actually put the URL from there. Now once you've actually set up your actual webinar itself, if you click on here and do get links, then you can get the watch room link, which is the live room, which is what is known as in Ever Webinar. You just copy that and then you can actually paste it into here, which is where I've done exactly here. And then of course you can add some more thank you messages at the footer as well, doing in here. So that's a big improvement to what they actually had before, and it gives you a lot more control over your thank you page. So you can do a lot more now within here, and also notice that from the registration page, the background is already automatically on your thank you page as well, which is absolutely good, you know, so that is very, very useful. So that's how you do your thank you page as well. So it's very simple, very, very easy to actually do. One thing I would actually state is that you still need the opt-in page doing and hosted on your own website rather than through ClickFunnels. So this is my site, and then if I was to have people join us now and click on this, it would be taken through to the my opt-in page, which now looks like this, you know, so it's looking pretty good as far as I'm quite pleased with this, and this is very much looking like what Jono has asked us to do for you know, for the updating our opt-in page. And when people actually then click on the reserve your space like this, and then I'll just open it up as a new tab. there, lo and behold, there's my registration page, as you can actually see. So then you can actually then also test it out if you want to, and then see if whether or not it works. So that's how it works for your registration page coming up, and then the thank you page comes through afterwards, actually, when people actually register. So if they were to register on that again, and I do it for the just in time, I just put in my registration details, it would then go to the thank you page, as you can see, straight away, straight to that, and then I can join the workshop straight away, which is also quite good. Now the only reason why I've kept this in here at the moment is because I still find it quite useful to have the original video that Jono has actually put up on here, given a brief description about it, especially when you're waiting for 10 minutes. You would like to have something in there to rather than just text. Otherwise you could just join straight in, I guess, as well, to give you an idea about what's going on. I may remove it later on, you know, I don't know yet, just yet. I'll see what my conversion rates are actually for doing that. So the next thing that we can actually go through to is the live part of it. So this is where you're actually now putting in your offers, etc. So at the top here you've got your live settings. So the email questions box is disabled. If I enabled that, that means, and put in my email, then when people actually type in during the webinar session a question, it gets sent directly to my inbox, in which case then it would alert me that there's a question that's gone on, and then I can actually answer it. I don't actually use that, so you can actually do the same thing in every webinar, so I don't actually use that, so I keep it disabled. Then the live chat is enabled. Now I like to have people be able to actually interact when they're actually watching the actual webinar itself, especially when you're there for a good couple of hours. So you want people to actually be able to interact with that there. So I let the live chat actually be enabled, and I actually can join in as an admin, which is the control room here, link to the actual webinar itself, and then I can actually respond back to people's questions just as if Jono was actually doing it, or Chicha was actually doing it as well themselves. So as a response back if wanted to, and the public chat is enabled as well, so an option. Redirect attendees after webinar is disabled. So if you actually close your webinar, which I don't recommend you actually do for this, then you can give them a redirection saying, I'm sorry, this booking is training is all booked up, no more room, please watch out for our next opening gap. You know, you can actually do that to a URL on your website for given that type of information. Again, it's disabled. Then this is where you actually offer your, this is where offer comes in for the webinar itself. Now in Webinarkit, you actually get to do 3 offers, if you like, 3 unique offers. Being as we're only doing the one, then that doesn't really matter. So the offer headline is called Ministry Freedom. The offer description is called One-Time Deal, join MOF 2021 today and get 66% plus off. You know, so that's really the deal of why people are actually doing it, so they actually get it for a good price. And the offer price coming up here is keep watching the webinar. Now the reason why is because you give them a button which then takes them through to the instant access page, which is this one here, where it already has a price, so you don't actually need to say what the price is. So I just said the offer price is keep watching webinar. This is your call to action for your first offer, so click here to get instant access, so people will actually be able to see the offer coming up in the top right hand corner of the actual webinar here. In every webinar it comes out at the bottom, but in Webinarkit it comes out at the top. It doesn't really matter, you know, so it still works in the same way. And then they'll have a button that comes up here that says click here to get instant access, and they'll be able to click on that, and then this is where you put in your first one here, which is your default link to actually go to the purchase page. So that's my Warrior Plus link, affiliate link, that goes in, which takes them to here, which then takes them, you know, from here, from the offer. So that's the one I actually use in here from my Warrior Plus link here, that which takes me to here. Okay, so that's where you put the offers. Now the offer starts in minutes, so again it's in minutes. So if you go back here into Ministry of Freedom, it tells you the link drop at 1 hour and 3 minutes, so that's 63 minutes. So all you need to put in here is 63 minutes. Offer ends, well, the offer ends at the end of the actual webinar itself, and that's 159 minutes again. So that's a nice and easy way to actually put it in there, and it remembers it in here, which is quite good. So that's continuing on from 1 hour and 3 minutes all the way through to 2 hours and 39 minutes to the end of the webinar. And then if you wanted to, you can actually offer a countdown timer. You get that in every webinar as well. We don't use that, so it's disabled. The other thing that you have in every webinar, which you have as a pro version of Webinarkit, is the poll settings. So you could add polls if you wanted to, how people are actually enjoying this particular webinar, yes or no. It adds more engagement. Again, we don't use it, so I recommend not setting that up. Same thing with handouts as well. Again, you get that in every webinar. We don't use it in every webinar either. This is the second upsell, which is a chat simulator. So what you can actually do with this, and you get it in every webinar already, is you can add certain chats come up already, so just as if people are actually already chatting within the actual webinar. So it allows you to set up chat messages, which you can then put the chat username, chat text, etc., and you can set it up as an automated one when it should be displayed, etc., and you can set up your chats in here if you wanted to. You get that from the second one, so that's the one after the pro version of Webinarkit, so webinar chat similar settings. So, but again, we don't use it, so I have not recommended to set this up either. Okay, then once you've done that, click save, and then you're on to the last bit of setting this up, and now it gets a little bit complicated. So this is all about your emails setting up now, and there's two ways you can actually do it. You can either have all the emails that are included within this document here in your autoresponder, which is originally how I used to do it, because you didn't get all the new features now in Webinarkit where you'd be able to have the confirmation email set up properly. You did have these three, but you didn't have the other ones here about the did not attend, watch 25%, watch 50%, etc., going all the way through here, which you now do have. And then you did have the replay reminder as well, but again, with every webinar and also with Webinarkit, you don't need to use the replay function. Again, that comes in a pro version of Webinarkit if you want to have a replay option. So if you wanted to do your own webinars and wanted a replay option, then you can actually do it from there. So but again, you get it in every webinar, which there's a replay option here. Again, we don't use it, so because there is a replay page that is here, and you just use that link for the replay page in your emails, so you don't actually need to actually use the replay option itself. So once you go into the autoresponder, just create a new list, which you can do by the create button, and then once you've actually set it up, you can then create an autoresponder. And then for every single one of these emails, you can then send those out coming through, and then using this as a subject line, etc., and then just tweaking it if you want. I used to use the default confirmation email here because I just liked the way that they said that you're all registered, you're good to go. But recently, with the changes that John has now done with this, and then given you the proper confirmation to make it less confusing, it was a little bit confusing before. So John has actually cut these emails down from what it used to look like. Then this one, I actually use this one within my Webinarkit here. Now there is a downside with this one here that I don't like, and this is this. So I actually originally put it in with all the formatting in, as you can see down here, like this. And I think great, it looks great. And then I tried it out, and then I looked at my confirmation email, and it comes through like this. And I thought, oh, it's not formatted it properly. So it seems like at the moment it's not really putting the carriage returns in there to split out all the sentences and make it look a little bit nicer. It's okay, it kind of like still works, you know, for the confirmation, and this bit's all formatted correctly. So I think it's still useful. So it does give you more information about what's going on. So I thought it's still quite useful to add. So I'm actually talking to the Webinarkit developers to see whether or not they can actually put the formatting in here properly so it remembers it, so the carriage returns support, so that it comes out properly formatted, and then hopefully on their roadmap they'll tweak this to make it look a lot nicer. But in the meantime, it comes out like this and it's fine. It kind of still works. That's the only downside I don't like about Webinarkit at the moment, is that it does not remember all the formatting of your emails. So at the moment I just recopied and pasted it back in here and just left it all in one big bunch of lines like that. Okay, but you can still put it in there with all the formatting, because eventually I'm sure that they'll allow you to have it coming out properly, including using the headers as well, which will be great as well. So the difference between EverWebinar and Webinarkit is that you get a 1-day reminder rather than a 1-hour reminder that you actually get, and then you get a 15-minute reminder in EverWebinar, but you get a 30-minute reminder with the text here. And their default ones actually are, to be honest, are quite straight to the point and work fine. So again, you could actually remove all this text, but then I just use the reminder ones that are on here. So the reminder email, which is this one here, is what I've actually put into here and here. So they're both the same ones. I've just changed the time of when it's going live, to match when the reminder goes out. So it's 1 day here and 30 minutes here. The rest of it is more or less slight tweakings with my names on there instead, as Jono's, because again I'm the one who's doing all the webinar setup, and so I say come and watch Jono build a 5-figure big business one, instead of come and watch me build a 5-figure business live, because it's not me who's actually doing it, it's Jono doing it, etc. So be careful about what you actually write within here, and just make sure it makes sense to what you're setting up as well. So and then this is a new feature that they've added in here, which is the did not attend email. So again, I just added this in here. So for the did not attend, which I used to have it in my autoresponder. So the did not attend email is the starting now one I didn't use at the moment. So because I couldn't fit it in with 30 minutes to go. So it wasn't close enough to be starting now, so I kind of skipped over that one. So the did not attend email is this one here. So I just copied and pasted this one in here and tweaked it slightly for me. So I say, hey there, it's Jay Lee, and I couldn't notice that, but you missed the workshop, etc., etc. And then I just signed it after me. Now these ones here are the ones about leaving early. So basically for the 25, 50 and 75% ones, I just used this left early email and then tweaked it for the first one, and then copied and pasted it into my second and third. So that's what you see here, sorry, the 25% one here. Okay, and then it's the same thing that you've got here for 50% leaving early, 75% leaving early, and then I disable it for the 100% watched, because you've got some other closing emails that come in afterwards, so you don't actually need those, and you don't actually need to use the replay reminder emails either, because you're not using the replay option as well. So that's how you set up your emails going through. Fairly simple. And then this is where your integrations are happening. So as you can see, it does actually support quite a few different integrations for autoresponders, and one of the best ones is it's got Zapier. So if you use Zapier a lot, then you can actually have a field day with this, because you can integrate it really, really well with Zapier. I use GetResponse, so this is my email list that I created up in GetResponse itself. So that's my MOF webinar one. And then here you've actually got, when you're first setting it up, it'll ask you for your API key that you're using. So you just put in your API key and then it'll come up like this afterwards. So you just select your email list that you're wanting people to actually use for gaining the messages. And then we'll come in with the closing emails in a second. Okay, so that's the integrations for your autoresponders, and then these are your tracking pixel areas that you can actually use within Webinarkit. Now you have them with EverWebinar as well. So the thing to do with this is that you do the same thing as an EverWebinar training, and I actually grabbed it from my EverWebinar one itself, and then so I have my Google Ads one in here on the thank you page. And the conversion information here, that's coming in from the MOF opt-ins conversion page as well coming through. So that's the registration thank you page. I don't use it for the registration page because we didn't use it in every webinar for the registration page scripts, but you can actually put some tracking pixels in there, your Facebook ones, etc., if you use it on there, and the webinar watch page scripts as well, that you can actually add your tracking and analytics for there. So then you can then start getting your stats out for using it. So it's a thank you page really, where you put your Google Ads one in straight in there as well. Okay, and now one thing that Webinarkit does not do that EverWebinar does is EverWebinar gives you the option of being able to add your coding straight into your own pages here, and Webinarkit doesn't give you the option of generating a Webinarkit one instead. I'm sure that will come a little bit later because they obviously do have some tracking pixels, etc., already in here, so that may be a little bit further down the line, but at the moment they don't allow you to do that. But essentially that is it in terms of setting up your actual webinar within the Webinarkit software itself. So just hit complete once you're actually happy with it, and then you can then start testing it through getting it through your opt-in page here, and then making sure that people actually go through. Now with the links as well that we were showing you, so if you want to see what the watch room link is, if I was just to go straight to it, this is what it looks like. So here is the chat box here, and that people can actually put in the messages and then click on send.
Hey, what's up? My name is John Armstrong. Welcome to this workshop. On this workshop today, I'm going to be revealing 3 ways, not just one, but 3 ways that you can use to generate $5,000 consistently online each and every month, starting within the next 22 days or less. I'm also going to show you how you can scale that to $10,000 online every single month.
Just like every webinar, you can't do any of the controls.
These 3 ways are going to consist of the free method.
You can actually mute it. So I can mute it at the moment. Now you shouldn't be hearing the sound out here because it's currently coming through my recording studio speakers through there rather than the desktop one. So I'm not recording any desktop audio coming through at the moment. So but you can actually mute it like that as well. So as you can see, this is a new one that's going on.
I am, because I am super excited to be revealing this stuff to you on this call today.
Now,
so what I'm going to do now is just close down my camera so I have your complete attention so we can get straight into
will appear just above here.
So during this workshop I'm going to show you the secret of making an easy $5,000 a month within the next 22 days, and then also how to scale that to $10,000 monthly within the next 55 days. And I'm also on top of that going to share with you
that is what it looks like for the watch room as well. And again, with the registration link, you can then click on there, and then you can send out your registration link in your emails if you wanted people to come through your different campaigns or through Facebook, and then it will take them straight through here as well, which is useful to actually have, which is fantastic. So that's your links there. The replay room, which we don't use, is the link here, and then the control room for going to the live room while you people are actually watching the webinar allows you then to interact with your potential buyers of Ministry of Freedom is the link that's there. And that's essentially it, what you can actually do within Webinarkit. Oh, by the way, your stats that you can have a look at analytics comes through by clicking the view analytics, and it'll show you the analytics of your data coming through as well. So you can do, the good thing about Webinarkit is it gives you unlimited registrants and unlimited viewers of your webinar, whereas EverWebinar only gives you 500 as a maximum. But we don't actually advertise that, as we keep it with what Jono does with reserved seats for 500. That's good enough. I don't think you'll ever fill it up full with that many attendees anyway. So, but that is one good thing about Webinarkit. Now, moving off of Webinarkit, we go to the autoresponders. So you're looking at the closing email number 1. So this one here is the one that I first use within my autoresponder. And this is 2 hours after to stayed till closed start. Now in EverWebinar, you just put it 2 hours afterwards using the stayed till closed start. So this means that people stay till the very end, and 2 hours afterwards you would then send this message. So And to do it in your autoresponder, because you're not doing it directly within the actual webinar side of things, you have to add on the time of the webinar to your autoresponder one. So this one is 2 hours afterwards, and the webinar is about 2 hours and 40 minutes or so, 2 hours 39 minutes long. So therefore I ran it up to 3 hours. So that means that I got this one set up at 5 hours away. So and all you do is you just add a new autoresponder. I can show you what it looks like in here. I gave it a name, MOF Webinar Closing Email 1. You select the list that you want to do it with. So you do it with a delay of 5 hours. So it comes up 2 hours afterwards from when they actually registered, and it's on every day. And then here is where you put in the title. And this bit here is where you actually do the message itself and the body of the message in the autoresponder. So here it is. I put it as J Lee here instead of Jono here, and then these are the links that you see here and here, which are the links that Jono has down here. So he's telling you what is your link that you should be using. So it's the sales page one that you actually have, and the sales page one that goes in here. So you don't need to have that one here, you just add that as a link in your autoresponder. So when people click on that, then it goes to the sales page, which is this one here, which looks like this. So that's where they'll be actually going. So they'll be taking it from the sales page one here. So that's the link I actually use in between. So once you've actually added it, you can then go next, and then you can then just publish it yourself, and it'll add it into here, and then you just then go save and publish, which it normally says there. So that's the first email. Yes, leave this page without saying. So the same thing I did for closing email number 2, which is testimonials, which is that one. So you do the same thing again, and then you just go through and add this in here. Again, the testimonials one is on here. You just use that link for the testimonials, which will then provide the people to this page here within your autoresponder. The replay one is next, which is this one here, 48 hours. So it gets easier then. So as you can see for this one is 16 hours afterwards. So again, I just added on the time when the webinar, how long the webinar was. So I put it as 19 hours. So it's afterwards, and then it gets easier because these ones here are on 48 hours, i.e. 2 days, same time as they signed up. Same time as signed up for the final close, which is 3 days, 72 hours, and then 96, which is 4 days. So 2, 3, 4 for these last 3 that you've actually got. And again, these ones are the replay one here to just copy and paste what you have and then tweak it. Again, the replay page, which is the one that you use from here. So you just use that link here and then put it behind the links that you've actually got here. Okay, and then the final close, 72 hours, and then again that's a replay page that's using it, and then the downsell offer. Now this one's a bit strange, and I never used it in the first way before, but I've actually added it in here now, which is the downsell one, which is just here, mainly because it is about Jono providing the special bonus training that comes up afterwards. Okay, so this is really Jono providing them with the free training option rather than the paid one, as a thank you for your interest, and then you can come back later if you're really interested to join later date. So he says, I call this our MOF Lite and 8 times beginner package here. So but I never had the link, because if you try to do this link here, that comes out, and it says this, we're sorry, this offer is currently not available. So I don't really know where it's going to at this page here, whether or not it was this one or whether or not it's supposed to be actually going here. But then if it's going here, then why are you asking for the full price or the installments one anyway when you're providing a free one to your prospective buyers where it's there? So this is a thank you, he's given away as a light version. So what I actually did was I went on to Profit Maximizers. I found the A to Z launch jacking one which takes you through to Jono's free training one, which is a 10-parter, because that seems to match what's going on here, and then provided that link instead of this one here for behind this text here. So that's where I did, and then it takes you through to the 10-part, and that way then Jono is still providing the actual training that he's offering in here from the emails that's going through, and it keeps it consistent as well at the moment, until we can actually probably understand exactly which one this one's actually going to that works for us, that we can actually see, and then we can then just modify it. So that's what I've actually done in the closing down email downsell just here. And that's it really. So you're only setting up in your autoresponder 5 emails really, but all of those will go into the Ever Webinar area here where you've got your notifications. Then I click cancel in here. So the notifications part here, you've got it all built in here, and then you just add them all into here. So as you can see, the 72 hours, 48 hours, 16 hours, 6, 4, 3. Now these ones were the original ones. That's now been changed, so I'll update Ever Webinar very shortly with the latest emails that we've actually got. And that is essentially it for Webinarkit. So I know this has been a bit long, but you needed to see everything going all the way through, and I hope you've actually found this Webinarkit one very useful for you to be able to set up Webinarkit as an alternative to Ever Webinar should you feel like $500 a year is a bit too much for you for doing your promotion of paid ads. So remember, keep following Jono's training. I do recommend you go down the Ever Webinar route first, because Jono shows you through Ever Webinar how to actually set it all up, and then you can then just copy and paste that into Webinarkit should you find Webinarkit just as useful for you as well, or you can actually follow this video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time, and good luck with your paid ads, and hopefully your income will come flowing in from it.